The Ultra Puppy Training System. Ah, yes. Just look at that cute little puppy. It's about to leave its brothers and sisters, its mom and dad. You're going to take it to a warm, friendly, loving home. And the only thing left to wonder about now is, what do I do now?
Welcome to the Ultra Puppy 1 video training program. The Ultra Puppy program was developed by me about 10 years ago, and since that we have graduated thousands of puppies very successfully in advanced training at the age of 16 weeks. Traditionally, people thought puppy training should be socialization. It's more than just socialization, it's formal training as early as 10 to 12 weeks. People give you all kinds of reasons why you can't train your puppy. Their attention spans are too short, or they won't retain it. This is not true. In the next few minutes, you're going to see exactly what I've just said being proven to you right here on this show. Let's take a look now and see what you can do over the next 2 to 3 weeks by just working with your puppy and teaching basic obedience commands. So now you've seen what you can do in literally just a few weeks with your puppy, and those people who said it couldn't be done, now you see it. It's fun, it's easy, and all that's left for you to do now is go develop your very own Ultra Puppy.
Choosing the correct breed. The first question people ask is, how do I know this is the correct breed for me? Here are some guidelines to help you make that decision. The first thing to remember is, puppies grow up quickly. That cute little 8-week-old furball can easily turn into an 80-pound monster in just a few short months. So make a checklist and answer the following questions. Do I want a male or female? Males of any breed can sometimes be more dominant aggressive and usually larger than females. Are you physically able to handle a full-grown adult of your chosen breed? Examine your lifestyle and living situation. Do you have a hustle-bustle lifestyle? Perhaps you have a family of young children. These factors would certainly rule out high-energy dogs as your breed of choice. You should choose a small to medium mellow breed. Do you want long hair or short hair? Most long hair breeds shed more than short hairs, and routine grooming can be very time-consuming as well as expensive. Do you have space for your puppy to run and exercise? Obviously, if you live in an apartment, a Great Dane should not be your breed of choice. Do you have the time necessary on a daily basis to exercise your puppy? Larger breeds need lots of exercise. Think about it. All that energy has to go somewhere. Lack of exercise and the resultant anxiety and frustration is one of the single most causes of malbehavior in dogs. Thousands of unwanted pets are destroyed every year because the novelty wears off once some people realize that pets can be time-consuming and the cost of their care and maintenance can be staggering. Owning a pet is a responsibility. Are you really ready for it? How to pick a puppy from a litter. Okay, so now you've chosen a breed and the search begins. The next question to be answered is, how do I choose the best puppy from all the puppies I've looked at? Whether you've chosen a pedigree or mixed breed puppy, the bottom line answer to this question is, choose the correct temperament. This can be a daunting task for anyone, even professionals, but there are some tips we can give you that will make this decision a lot easier. Remember, the dog is a direct descendant of the wolf. It still retains many of its ancestral traits, although some have been diluted through generations of breeding and domestication, yet some still exist. One of these canine traits is the establishment of a hierarchy within its social structure. Whether it lives in a pack of other dogs or in a domestic situation such as our family, in your puppy's mind, you are a two-legged canine companion, and it will respond to you in this way. In choosing a family companion, the two most visible temperament traits that should be avoided are easily observed. Although at two extremes, the temperament flaw of dominance-aggression and excessive shyness are usually visible even in young puppies. Dominant, aggressive pups are always the first to eat at feeding time. They win play fights, especially once they get a little serious. They'll keep play toys to themselves and fight for their possession. And most times, they're the ones to run up to strangers when they first approach. The person who chooses the proverbial first puppy to run to them may be making a big mistake. They may be choosing the most outgoing, active puppy, but it could very well be a very dominant puppy. Both males and females can be dominant aggressive and be the pack leader. We call this top dog position, the alpha position, or number one position in a pack. Careful observation of the puppies over several hours will quickly show the dominant puppies, especially at feeding time. On the other end of the pack hierarchy, you have the subordinate members. If some of these puppies are overly shy and withdrawn, they may have been traumatized in some way. One of the worst being a fear of people. We sometimes feel sorry for timid, nervous puppies and bring them home. Please don't. We suggest that all prospective puppy owners view at least 3 litters before deciding on the litter that they will eventually choose their puppy from. Don't view 3 puppies. View 3 separate litters. All puppies are cute. It's easy to fall in love, but some are better than others. Remember, this can be a 15-year relationship, so don't rush. An added bonus is getting to meet the puppy's parents. Most reputable breeders will gladly let you interact with the puppy's parents. If the parents are stable, well-behaved dogs, chances are good that the puppies will be similar as adults. So now we know that overly dominant puppies and overly shy pups are a definite no-no. So what do we do next? We go in between and find the puppies on the middle of the dominance ladder. These puppies are usually the thinkers of the litter. When you approach the litter, they'll be the ones who hesitate slightly. They think before running to you, but when all is okay in their mind, they come bounding up, tails wagging and eager to be petted. These mid-ranking puppies are most times more passive and much less aggressive than the dominant pups. Once you've narrowed down your choices to a few puppies, bring each one separately to a quiet area well away from the other pups. Spend a few minutes with each puppy getting a feel for their personality. Perhaps you'll be able to entice them to play ball or some other game. See if they'll follow you willingly. Stay away from the ones who will try to block you as you walk. Then, perform your final test. We call this the alpha roll. Place the puppy gently on its back. Put the palm of your hand on their chest area and hold them down. Don't talk if they struggle. But if they just lay there quietly, not trying to get away, then this is a good indication of how passive they are. If they try to nip at your hand or squeal and wiggle excessively, they fail the test. Put them right back with their litter mates. Alternately, if they protest by trying to bite when you pick them up, say thank you to your breeder and move on to your next litter. Never pick a puppy who fails this test. This test should not be performed on puppies over 12 weeks of age. And always be cautious. You may be bitten while doing it, and children should never attempt it. These guidelines are provided to help you choose a pup that has a stable temperament. But there are no guarantees. As all puppies are different, there'll be variations to the responses we've outlined. Temperament can be altered by the dog's future living environment and cannot be evaluated accurately until the dog is a mentally mature adult, which usually happens between 18 to 30 months of age. However, observing these guidelines and really spending some time looking for the perfect puppy will pay you dividends for years to come. Warning: if at any time your puppy shows signs of excessive fatigue, increased thirst, loss of appetite, constipation, vomiting, diarrhea, acts lethargic, shows weight loss, fever, mucus or discharge from eyes, ears, or nose, or pain in movement, consult your veterinarian immediately. Some puppy diseases can kill your puppy in less than 48 hours. Preparing for your puppy's arrival or day one. We recommend picking up your new puppy from your breeder at 7 to 8 weeks of age, never before. The 3 to 12-week period of your puppy's life is called the primary or the critical socialization period. This is where the puppies learn to accept its environment and outside influences, such as other pets, other people, general everyday situations, and unusual occurrences. This is also an imprinting stage. In other words, a major learning stage. Whatever you imprint in your puppy's brain at this time, positive or negative, will be retained. An 8-week-old puppy has the learning capabilities of an adult dog. Think of the term imprinting in the following way. Your new puppy could be likened to a little furry computer. Everything you input is stored for later use, so all habits, good or bad, are learned at this time. So keeping this in mind, and the fact that we want to try to develop a perfect companion for life, we start imprinting from day one. Before you bring your puppy home, get down on your knees. Crawl around the areas your puppy will have access to, and completely puppy-proof them. Eliminate bad behavior before it starts. How can your puppy get into trouble and learn bad behaviors if they never learn to do the behavior in the first place? For example, some people wonder why the puppy insists on chewing up good shoes and socks when it has its own old shoe and knotted socks to play with. That's just our point. The puppy should not have them in the first place. How can a young puppy, possibly teething, know the difference between a new shoe and an old one? It can't. Repetition and consistency are the keys to learning. Imprinting by you will develop the character of an ultra puppy. However, inconsistency and failure to completely control the young puppy's environment will confuse the puppy, which in turn causes frustration, which manifests itself most times as destructive behaviors. While puppy-proofing, look for items such as electric wires, glass or pottery items, chemicals like rat poison, slug bait, weed killer, antifreeze, paints, gasolines, etc. Also, remove any plants that may be poisonous. Board up broken or loose fencing. And we strongly recommend building a dog run outside. For a medium-sized dog, this run should be at least 10 feet by 4 feet, preferably have a cement floor, and be in a shaded or sheltered area of your yard, depending on your climate. Sometimes people fence off the walkway at the side of their house. This works real well. By taking these steps, you're ensuring that your puppy will not get off on the wrong foot. How will your puppy learn to chew up your brand new patio furniture if it never gets to be around it without you being present? It makes sense, right? The best place for your puppy when you're not at home is in its run. Be sure to leave a supply of fresh water, preferably close to its doghouse. By the way, don't get upset if your puppy does not like its doghouse. Some don't. As long as you provide some sort of canopy or shade, your puppy will be fine. Also, be sure to leave a few chew toys to keep your puppy occupied, and remove all waste matter daily. An excellent sanitizer odor remover is regular household bleach. A 50-50 bleach water solution used every other day will keep the area odor-free. Always rinse thoroughly with cold water after bleaching. The residue bleach leaves can harm your puppy's foot pads. Let the run dry completely before returning the puppy to it. We now know that puppies can learn all kinds of negative behaviors in our absence, and we really can't blame the puppy. We're at fault. We did not do our dog-proofing thoroughly enough. Remember, it's easier to prevent negative behavior initially than modify it later. Now, let's take this one step further. The puppy can also learn bad behavior in our presence. We're teaching it bad behavior ourselves intentionally. Yes, as you sit there, you may be teaching your puppy bad behavior and you don't even know it. Another way that puppies learn is observing reactions and evaluating the degree of resulting attention or lack of attention brought on by that action. For example, we're familiar with the person who stops a puppy that play bites their hands by giving it a chew toy to stop it biting. You know who you are. But what is the puppy thinking? Well, it's thinking the more I bite, the more verbal attention I get, and I get a toy to play with. The owner, in the meantime, is saying, "No, no, no," in a nice puppy love tone. So not only is the puppy getting a reward physically in the form of a toy, but also it's learning that the word no is meaningless. In fact, it's kind of fun. Another example of mixed messages is the person who commands the dog to come. Eventually, after many come commands, the dog comes, and the owner scolds the dog. What has the dog learned? Not to come, because come now means it's time for a scolding, or worse. So remember, even the most basic acknowledgement of bad behavior, if not properly addressed, can actually be a learning imprinting lesson for your dog. What is negative in your mind may very well be a positive in your dog's. If your verbal correction is not given in the correct tone, backed by a physical correction, you're better off not saying anything. Ignoring the behavior will get far better results. Dogs don't understand long sentences. They recognize key words, usually monosyllabic in makeup. Keep your commands basic. Another thing to remember is puppies exhibit a natural behavior called mimicking or mirroring behavior. They copy things they see happening around them. A good example is the puppy who lives with young children. These puppies are usually high-energy pups. They see the children running around at high speed, so they think, "Hey, this is how I'm supposed to act, so let's get busy. I can be crazy too." The other side of this example is the puppy who is raised by an elderly family. They'll be much more mellow. Again, they learn by association and mirroring their immediate environment. We recommend that when you interact with your puppy, keep it low-key. Stroke them from head to tail slowly. Speak in a low, calming manner. Use their name a lot, and teach your children to do the same. If the puppies get too excited, stop the interaction. Walk away, and then a few minutes later, direct its energy toward a ball or a frisbee, but not to you personally. This way, the puppies will learn the difference between petting time and playtime. Temperament training is vital to a developing puppy. Other things that can seriously alter the dog's disposition are games like roughhousing and tug of war. We strongly advise against interacting with a puppy in this way. They are dominant-related games. Again, most puppies love to do it, but it has a deeper meaning than you think. You're overbuilding their confidence level, and it can lead to dominance-related aggression and excessive chewing when the puppy matures. Find a nice park and play ball. Again, direct the puppy's energy away from you to something else. It's far more productive. Puppies also mimic the behavior of older dogs. So if you have an older dog that has some bad behaviors, chances are he or she will have a partner in crime real soon. Double trouble is just around the corner. Having a new puppy around can be a very rewarding experience. You owe it to both yourself and your puppy to lay a good foundation for learning. Don't confuse your puppy by being inconsistent or allowing bad behavior to develop by not taking the steps necessary to prevent it. Once bad behavior becomes imprinted as a regular behavior pattern, it's very difficult, sometimes impossible to modify it. The old saying is true. Prevention is the best medicine. Developmental stages in dogs. Let's look at the developmental stages of a puppy's life and what we can expect during these stages. Stage 1, 0 to 3 months, encompassing primary socialization and fear imprint stages. By 3 months of age, your puppy will be 1/4 grown, full of fun, inquisitive, mischievous, and most impressionable. At this stage, your puppy learns every day. The puppy also relies on you for security, but confidence levels still remain low. This is the point where you begin to slowly introduce the puppy to as many new outside stimuli as possible, so it learns not to fear these things in later life. For example, you should have regular positive interaction with other adults, children, and other animals. These interactions should take place in your home. Puppies should not be taken out in public until they've had a full series of vaccinations. Do not force your puppy to like someone or something. Let it learn by itself. If it shows fear, rather than give it too much attention in the form of soothing talk, which can intensify its fears, direct its attention to a treat and slowly pet it as it eats, gradually moving closer to the object. When it investigates the object and seems comfortable, then praise it. During critical interactions like this, keep quiet. It is sometimes funny to us, but to the puppy, that vacuum cleaner is a puppy-eating monster. The less outside stimulus, such as loud laughter, clapping, etc., during this crucial learning experience, the easier it is on the puppy. For example, a lot of puppies are afraid of large objects, such as trash cans, when on the street for the first time. At this point, you may want to give the trash can a wide berth. Tell the puppy to heel. When the puppy begins to heel properly, give it lots of praise. Then move a little closer, repeating the exercise. Then move closer yet, say 6 to 8 feet. Once the puppy gets comfortable, make your first walk by at about 3 feet. Don't stop, and don't say anything to the puppy. Make several passes, each time walking 20 feet past the monster, and only saying heel when the puppy walks correctly. You'll find that after 6 to 10 passes, the puppy will no longer fear it. Why? Because you're not afraid of it. Remember the mirroring effect in the last segment. In this case, we've used a trash can for an example. It could be anything the puppy fears. Do it slowly, and you will not traumatize your puppy. Stage 2, 3 to 6 months. At 6 months, your puppy will be half grown. At this stage, your puppy's confidence level will be much higher. You will have finished off leash training, but only in secured, fenced areas, never on a busy street. Your puppy will be relying less and less on you for security and will have a much better reasoning ability. You should have your puppy almost totally imprinted as to what is acceptable behavior or not, and should be totally socialized with no fear of strangers or other animals. If you've used Ultra Puppy 2 video to further your advanced training techniques, your dog should be laying down at 30 feet off leash in secured areas. During this stage of life, your puppy will lose its baby teeth and the adult teeth will begin to grow. During the secondary teething stage, you may notice your puppy is doing more destructive chewing. Providing new and exciting chew toys on alternate days can be helpful. We suggest freezing compressed rawhide bones. This will provide some relief to those painful gums. Chew toys are discussed in more detail in the problem-solving section of this tape. We also suggest a veterinary exam at this stage to ensure your puppy has gotten through puppyhood without unseen physical injuries. Stage 3, 8 to 12 months. We call this stage the young adult stage of your dog's life, the equivalent of a teenager in human terms. Your dog is now three-quarter grown, sure-footed, and has its own confidence levels firmly established. In the case of most breeds, the females start their first heat cycle, which will now repeat about every 6 months. The heat cycle will last approximately 21 days, and she will be most receptive to males about the 10th through the 13th day of her cycle. A female can be made pregnant by several different males. So in a litter of 6 puppies, for example, 2 could be fathered by one male and the rest by the others. If you don't intend to breed your female, you're advised to spay her at around 7 months of age. If you do decide to breed, then it is recommended that she wait until she is at least 18 months of age or after her 3rd heat cycle. In the case of male puppies, we again must make a decision to breed or not to breed. If our answer is no, then be assured that the decision is probably a wise one. For males, neutering has many benefits from a health aspect, as well as from a behavior standpoint. One common belief that neutered males and spayed females mellow out after surgery is only true in a small number of cases. However, it will curb aggression to other dogs and males and also sometimes stop territorial marking and roaming to find females in heat. We strongly recommend spaying or neutering to any owner who is not seriously involved in a professional breeding program or does not intend to make a career out of it. Stage 4, 12 to 14 months. Your dog has now grown to full height. It will begin to develop more muscle and fatty tissue. Its personality has almost fully developed. Some dogs that showed mildly aggressive tendencies at this age can become seriously aggressive at full maturity because of constant imprinting. An older dog can learn new behaviors, both positive and negative, if constantly reinforced. You can teach an old dog new tricks. Stage 5. For the next year or so, your dog will increase its weight and develop into a mature adult. This is the point where a lot of people say, "I wish I'd trained my dog when it was younger. It just grew so fast." Don't let this happen to you. The information contained in this program, specifically the Ultra Puppy training techniques, are invaluable to the puppy owner. Use it properly, and you'll have the adult dog that dreams are made of. House training your puppy. The instant you take your puppy home, you should pick a potty area in your yard and bring the puppy there each time the need arises. The times that your puppy will feel the urge most will be immediately after eating, after sleeping, after vigorous play, and after a sniffing episode. The latter instance is usually followed by tight circling movements. The underlying rule for potty training is puppies do not like to potty in their immediate sleeping or eating areas. The only exception to this rule is with pet store puppies that are housed on wire grids with a potty pan underneath. These puppies learn quickly to potty anywhere. It falls into the pan and they need not worry about it. This does make house training more difficult. When you bring a small puppy home, house it in an area about 3 by 3 feet. Perhaps you could block off half your utility room or a corner of your kitchen. Wire mesh puppy pens or adjustable baby gates are ideal for this purpose. Place a blanket or pillow on one side of the pen and cover the rest with newspaper. When your puppy performs during one of your outside potty trips, soak up some of the urine in a paper towel, bring it back to the pen, and daub some on the newspaper on the complete opposite side to the puppy's bed. This will give the puppy added stimulation next time they have to potty. Very soon, they'll automatically go to the same area of the pen every time. However, to accomplish house training quickly, you must take the puppy outside regularly. The more times it potties in the house, the easier it becomes for them, and pottying inside the house becomes to be a natural behavior, whether on paper or not. After a week or so, begin reducing the amount of paper in the pen to half the floor area. Then, after another week, reduce to 1/4 the area. Keep reducing the paper until eventually it's not in the pen at all. When this happens, you begin crate training. Purchase a locking airline crate and begin putting the puppy in it for 2 to 3 hour periods. Do not put water or food in the crate. It is impossible to get your puppy on a proper potty schedule if you leave food out all day long, and this also holds true for water. You'll be feeding your puppy 3 or 4 times a day. At these times, leave food out no longer than 15 minutes, then take it away. Water can be left for 30 minutes. Immediately after eating or drinking a lot, take your puppy to the outside potty area. Wait as long as you have to for it to perform its duties. Then, praise it when it does, and give a moist dog treat. If you have to leave the house and you don't have an outside dog run, place the puppy in its crate. Give it a couple of ice cubes in its drinking cup. This will tide it over until you return. Always be sure that you do not feed or give water after 7 p.m., because we now have to teach the puppy to hold it for up to 8 hours, which they can do at about the age of 12 to 13 weeks, and sometimes even sooner. At nighttime, you can put the crate in your bedroom. If the puppy squeals or barks, bang on the top of the crate 3 or 4 times, saying no, 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 no. If the puppy persists, bang harder, even shake the crate. It will stop. Just saying no or quiet is usually not enough, and as we discussed before, the puppy usually interprets it as a way to get your attention. Leave a radio or TV on low for company. This can help calm the puppy. If the puppy potties inside its crate, do not remove it immediately. Wait for 20 or 30 minutes. You're going to have to bathe it anyway, so let it create its own aversion to urine or feces in its own sleeping area. This way they learn quickly, and normally it can happen 3 or 4 times before the puppy gets the message. After 4 weeks of no accidents overnight, you're ready to open the crate in your bedroom at night. You also can try opening just one small room to the dog during the day. At this point, you're 90% potty trained. The rest depends on you. If your puppy is out of its crate, keep it on a leash when you're home. If you leave even for a few minutes, confine it. This combination of early paper training, reducing the paper in favor of the crate, and using a dog run during the day will reduce the potty training time to as little as 2 weeks, or less in some cases. Remember, a puppy's crate is very similar to a cave. They derive security from it and will eventually go there to sleep or just to get away from things. Never let your children annoy or tease the puppy in its crate, and never chase it in there to scold it. A puppy's crate is its castle. Respect that fact. Also, be sure that when you position the crate that you put it in a well-ventilated area out of direct sunlight. In colder climates, be sure the room temperature is warm enough for your puppy. Now that your puppy is well on its way to being totally housebroken, you'll find that it may just walk right up to you in your living room and proceed to potty right in front of you. Don't be surprised. The puppy will not fully understand the difference between inside and outside until it receives the proper correction for the behavior. If the puppy is on a leash, give the standard correction as explained later in the training section of this tape. But if it's off leash, use the dog stopper. By 12 to 13 weeks, you'll have begun training and the puppy will have learned some communication skills and will know the difference between no and good. This is the period where you refine your housebreaking, and after a few short, carefully administered corrections, housebreaking will no longer be a problem. Another variation on potty training is useful for people who live in high-rises and who work all day. Obviously, these people cannot take the dog out on a regular basis, so we can provide the dog with a litter box. It works just as we did in the early stages of paper training, but instead of bringing the pup outside, bring it to its litter box. Praise it when it performs and give a moist food treat. The secret to successful litter pan training is making sure you clean the pan every time the puppy eliminates. That way, he'll get into the pan every time with no problems. If your dog has accidents in the house, clean them with an enzyme-based odor neutralizer. This will ensure that all the residue odors are eliminated, and the puppy will not be reminded to perform every time it passes that particular spot. Remember, unless you show your puppy where to go initially, it will pick its own spots. This is a difficult behavior to modify. As the puppy ages, it needs your guidance. Give it correctly, and the most frustrating stage of your puppy's life will be behind you before you know it. How to stop chewing and play biting. Your puppy can chew excessively for many reasons. It can be teething, it can be frustrated, bored, or just looking for attention. Whatever the reason, it can be annoying and often expensive when household items are destroyed. Your first weapon to combat this problem, especially with puppies younger than 12 weeks, will be a deterrent spray and paste. The brand we recommend is Bitter Apple. If the puppy is play biting your hands, spray some bitter apple on your fingers. Then place your fingers in the puppy's mouth. 1 or 2 squirts of spray should do it. The puppy will not like the taste and will shake its head and possibly even drool. Then, prior to any future petting sessions, spray your hands as soon as the puppy begins to mouth you. It will get the taste and stop. Praise it immediately for not biting. Once the puppy has been introduced to the taste of the spray, you can begin to spray the other things it likes to chew, like furniture, clothing, and shoes. Always check for color fastness when spraying fabrics. Providing the puppy with an ample supply of chew toys and alternating them every other day will keep them interesting. We recommend non-fabric chew toys, such as plastic or rubber toys, gum-a-bone, compressed rawhide, chew hooves. Don't give your puppies tennis balls or fabric tug toys. Providing good alternatives to your household effects, using deterrent sprays, and dog-proofing the puppy's living area are the most important keys to preventing this behavior in young pups. Some people think that if they ignore chewing as a problem, it will go away. Not true. Chewing is a very natural canine behavior, and dogs enjoy it. The secret is to show them what you want them to chew. Use your chew toys in play games. When the puppy sniffs the toy, licks it, or picks it up and begins chewing it, praise him. Teach it that this is acceptable behavior in your presence. This has far-reaching effects on teaching your dog to be independent. Your dog will relate the pleasure of chewing the play toys to fun when you're absent, thus leaving the furniture alone, and very soon will greet you upon arrival with that toy ready for a game. It's a good idea to have several special play toys that the dog really enjoys. Give these special toys on the days that you're going to be leaving the house for a longer period than normal. During teething periods, we suggest that you freeze a supply of compressed rawhide bones. These can help to relieve pain associated with teething. Now, let's look at what not to do when your puppy is chewing. You're no doubt familiar with the practice of immediately shoving a toy into the mouth of a puppy when it's chewing your hands or household items to show it the difference between good and bad. Think about this. What is the puppy learning? Of course, it's learning to chew for attention and reward. This is certainly not a good lesson for any puppy. To properly teach the puppy anything, you must follow the standard correction procedures as outlined later in this tape. When you catch the puppy in the act of chewing, you say, "No bite," in a firm tone. Give a simultaneous physical correction. Praise the puppy for stopping the behavior, and when it has settled down, give them the chew toy and encourage chewing on the toy. This is the only procedure to follow. Any deviation from it will send the puppy the wrong message, which can lead to more serious chewing because your puppy is frustrated and confused, and you are the cause. Remember, as with any negative behaviors, always correct the dog in the act. Never correct the dog after the fact. Some people say, "My dog knows he's misbehaved. He acts guilty when I return home." They have actually taught their dog this behavior by consistently reprimanding the dog every time they come home. Over time, the dog begins to expect this reaction on their approach. Just an inquisitive or stern look on their owner's face is enough to trigger the behavior. As we said before, dog-proof your home properly. Confine the dog to this area, and the majority of problems will never get a chance to develop. Separation anxiety. One of the biggest causes of dogs developing malbehavior in the absence of their owners is because the owner creates separation anxiety in their dog and possibly doesn't even realize it. You owe it to your puppy to teach it independence and self-reliance. Teaching the puppy it's okay to be alone and amuse itself. Teaching a dog to rely solely on you for amusement, affection, and pampering is a big mistake. To some owners, the word training means teaching complicated obedience commands. Perhaps they think training is cruel, or they think their dog will lose their love for them. Training is more than just commands. It is developing the human-canine communication which enables the dog to adjust to the human environment and become more psychologically stable. It gives the dog a chance to work for its master, which is the reason we domesticated the dog in the first place. A trained dog is a happier dog. It communicates better, and it knows its limits. An untrained, pampered dog is most times anxiety-ridden, has below average communication skills, and usually has some psychological problems. We're not saying that trained dogs do not have problems, but on average, untrained dogs have more. The quickest way to create separation anxiety in your dog is to make a big deal about leaving it alone. For example, a common mistake people make is before they leave for work every day, they cuddle their dog for long periods. That's why they're giving the dog the extra love now, so they have enough to last them all day. However, the dog is feeling really great for this whole period, and then, like a flash, the owner disappears. This has created an anticlimax for the dog, and the anxiety begins to build. After a few weeks of this, the dog gets so frustrated that it begins to do things like chew the furniture, break its house training, even break out of the house or yard, just to find its owner. We hope you're beginning to see the point here. To prevent separation anxiety, we suggest that you start teaching the dog early in life that your exiting or entering the home is really no big deal. Don't give the dog any attention for 20 minutes before you leave, and the same when you return. The dog will naturally be excited to see you, but wait for it to settle down before greeting it, and make the greeting pretty low-key. Let some time pass before you interact again with the dog, and then play your daily games or go for a walk. Regular daily exercise can help to reduce stress and anxiety in your dog. Once separation anxiety becomes an ingrained problem and begins to manifest itself in serious behaviors, they're very difficult to modify. Don't let this happen to your dog. Preventing jumping on people or furniture. There are many ways to stop a dog from jumping. The command off is the only verbal command you should use for any form of jumping. In the case of younger dogs, you can grab their paws and hold them for extended periods as shown. Or you can step on their leash so as they correct themselves like this. However, these methods don't always work. The most effective way to stop jumping almost immediately is to raise your knee as shown, saying off simultaneously and knocking the dog off balance. But be careful not to hurt the dog. Use your best judgment. Praise it afterwards. Alternatively, you can use the dog stopper for jumping. It is especially useful for senior citizens or small children, and is effective for all forms of jumping, not just on people, but on furniture also. The dog stopper can also be used on excitable dogs with amazing results. Ask for it at your local pet supplier, or write Dog Stopper, Box 4292, West Covina, California, 91791. Digging. Dogs bark, dogs sniff, dogs whine, dogs also dig. It's another very natural behavior. There are many reasons a dog may dig. Perhaps they want to bury a bone. They may want to cool off in deeper, cooler soil. Perhaps they want to catch gophers or rats. Perhaps they want to dig out of your yard to find you or visit the dog next door. Pregnant females will even dig dens. So don't be surprised that your dog digs. As with all behavior problems, it's best to practice prevention. As we mentioned before, you can save a lot of money in the long run by providing a dog run to house your dog in your absence. We've seen dogs cause thousands of dollars in damage to landscaped yards. Once again, never correct a dog after the fact. Catch it in the act or ignore it. If you have a dog that shows signs that it might like to dig, build it a sandbox and put it in its dog run. Then teach it to dig there by first putting in its favorite toys partially covered in the sand and encourage it to get the toy. As the game progresses, put other toys at different depths in the box and encourage the dog to find them. This teaches the dog to use its natural behavior in a constructive way, and more importantly, where you want it to dig. If your dog is digging at boundary fences, dig a trench along the boundary about 2 feet wide and 8 inches deep. Fill the trench with rough stones about the size of golf balls, and cover the stones with a length of chicken wire. You may want to put pegs in the wire every couple of feet to secure it. Once the wire is in place, cover it with topsoil and pound it in. This is a very effective way to stop even the most ardent digger. But it would have been much easier to build the dog run in the beginning, wouldn't it? Dogs who dig to find cooler earth can be facilitated by providing a children's wading pool. For those hot summer days, dogs who are given this outlet usually stop digging overnight. Problem-solving review. For every problem, there is a cause. And contrary to popular opinion, your dog is not performing bad behavior because it's mad at you. For some reason, it's bored, frustrated, confused, or perhaps it's full of anxiety. Analyze your situation if you're having problems. Are you giving the dog mixed messages and confusing the dog? You may be. It may take a few months to rectify the situation, but you can do it by correcting properly and being repetitive and consistent. Whether you use on-leash corrections, the dog stopper, or a combination of both, most behaviors can be greatly reduced or totally eliminated. The dog stopper can also be used to correct bad behaviors such as excessive barking, marking the house, nuisance overactivity, chasing cats, birds, and a host of other bad behaviors. Look for it at better pet supply stores.